Greetings everyone. I'm happy to start this lesson together again. Today we're going to continue with the Global English book and we're going to have Unit 12, People and Their Jobs. So, let's start together. To have a comprehensive explanation for this unit, we need to discuss four major points. To start with the first one, it's jobs of people. Then, we're going to know suffixes for these job titles. After that, we're going to continue with verbs and prepositions followed by verbs plus ing. And finally, we're going to have future tenses. So let's begin. In page 94, many job titles were given. So the thing that you need to do is to match these words with the pictures given below on page 94 and 95. While you read these words, you would notice that they end with certain letters like ist, or, er, ic, etc. We call these suffixes, and we're going to discuss these after a while. So, if you don't know the meaning of some words, you can always use your dictionary. But I'm going to explain some of these words that are vague or unusual. To start with the first one, it's the word physiotherapist. A physiotherapist is a person who heals the body through physical methods like exercises or doing a massage. Then we have another word, which is the word paramedic. A paramedic is a person trained to provide emergency medical treatment, usually outside the hospital. Then we have another word, which is optician. Optician is a person who makes these glasses. The lenses of your glasses are made by an optician. Many other words, if you don't know them, you can check them in your dictionary, as we said. Here, we're going to find out what's the meaning of these suffixes that we mentioned before. Well, suffixes are morphemes that are placed after words, not in the beginning of words like prefixes. These are put by the end of the word. Why? To modify the meaning, or sometimes just to change the part of speech. For example, changing it from a verb to a noun. If you find these morphemes, these suffixes, alone, they wouldn't give any meaning. They should be attached to a word. They should be linked with a word, the same word. So, you have many examples here. For example, the word or the suffix able or ible. What do they mean? If you put them with a word like portable or preventable, they would change its part of speech. The same can be applied on IOUS. If you have the word ambition, ambition is a noun, while ambitious here with adding IOUS, it made it an adjective. Since we knew the meaning of suffixes, now we can use them in a different way. We will use them in a way to make professions, to make job titles. So, these examples for suffixes to make job titles are ist, it's very common, er, ian, ic, ant, or. Notice that if you read them alone, no meaning at all. While if you attach it to a word, you will see the difference. To start with the first one, drive, we all know drive, it's a verb. If you put er by the end of it, you're talking about a person. Look how the part of speech is different here. Verb became a noun, driver. Another word is physiotherapy. Physiotherapy is a noun. It talks about all the thing of healing people, like using massage or using exercises. While if we put ist, it makes it the person who does it. So physiotherapist is the person who does physiotherapy. The same with electric. Electric is adjective. If you do it, electrician, adding this ian suffix, it becomes a noun for a person. And finally, we have the word music. Music is a noun. It talks about music itself. While if you have ian by the end of it, you're talking about the person who is doing this music by, for example, playing on instrument or something like that. We have many examples for these suffixes, and you can always check for many more. A minor note that could be very helpful for you in your daily life, not in exams or something that is formal. Whenever you don't know a profession or you don't know a job title, you can always use works in or work in. For example, if you're talking about a person who works in a shop and you don't know what do they call this profession, you can simply say he works in a shop, works in. If you're talking about a farmer and you're not sure if it's farmer or something else, another suffix, you can again simply say he works in farming. Now, you may stop our video and go to page 95. It's better to start solving exercise number 4. You would choose the right suffixes to put in the end of the words to make it a profession or job title. Here are the answer keys for the exercise that you were solving a while ago. So you would start with the word music, it becomes musician. Write, a verb, becomes writer. Farm work becomes farm worker. Act, actor. Journal, journalist. You have the word build becomes builder. Then you have the word direct, it becomes director. Garden, gardener. Design, designer. Notice that they end with er, most of them, but other suffixes also are common. Then you have the word flight attend, so it becomes flight attendant, A-N-T. We will move on now to page 96. In page 96, there is a text entitled A Typical Day. After you read this text, you will be able to find the words that are wanted in exercise number 2 in page 97. So, to find these vocabularies, you would read the definition and try to search it in the text. I would like you to start doing it now, and after that the answers will be given by me. To start with the first word, it's already solved. People who do work without being paid, especially work that involves helping people. These people are usually found in organizations. They're called volunteers. So, the first one is volunteers. It's already solved. Number 2, things you have to do as part of your job. We call these duties. Duties is the word for number 2. For number 3, serious or dangerous situations that need immediate action. We call these emergencies. Emergency. Then number 4, the people living in particular area. What do they call them? The community. So your community is the people who live in the same city, for example, or the same school. For number 5, pipes at the side of the road connected to water system and used to get water to stop fires. What is that? It is hydrants. Moving on to number 6, a careful look at something to check, for example, that it's working properly. This word is inspection. Number 7, A period of work in a place such as a factory or a hospital. This is a shift. You see that some people work for extra shifts, for example. This is the period of work in places. For number 8 and the last one, to start being responsible for something. What do we call that? To take over. To take over something is to start it and being responsible for it. Here, we're going to discuss a very simple grammatical topic. It is verbs and prepositions followed by verbs of ing. You need to memorize here that there are some verbs. You need other verbs after them that wouldn't be in base form. They would be with ing. These verbs that we're talking about are avoid, enjoy, feel like, finish, give up, involve, practice, risk, and suggest. You may also find other examples of these verbs that we're talking about in page 123. You can check them and come back to see the examples. You would find it very simple. The first example, you say, I avoid talking to John, not I avoid talk to John. This will be a big mistake. So the verb avoid is the first one that we mentioned when we gave the examples. So putting ing verb after it. Talk, talking, yes? So I say, I avoid talking to John. The other example, she enjoys playing tennis. It would be a mistake to say, she enjoys play tennis. Play is a verb, it needs ing because it comes after enjoy, which is again one of the verbs that we mentioned. The process of memorizing here is important. I know that you can just have a look at them, but if you memorize them, you will never make this mistake. Remember here that we talked about both verbs and prepositions. So we have prepositions as well. They need ing verbs after them. You shouldn't use base verb after prepositions. Except for one, of course. It's to, because this one is called to infinitive. So if you take examples for that, she is good at making things. At making, not she is good at make things. Thank you for helping me, not thank you for help me. I'm addicted on playing video games, not I'm addicted on play video games. Notice that always after these prepositions, ing verbs should be mentioned, not based. As we said, except for the preposition to. Notice it in this example. I'm ready to start. I didn't say I'm ready to starting. This is a mistake. Put the exception in your mind. To is with base, not with infinitive. Now, we're going to briefly discuss future tenses. We will start with will future. You would notice that whenever we talk about future using will, and you use it all the time, we mention a verb that is base form, not ing after will. So I say, for example, I will start, I will do that, I will pass the exam. Notice that the verb is base form, no additions, yes? So we have two uses for will future. What are they? First one is giving information about the future. Example, John will come tomorrow. We're just stating something that will happen in the future, giving this information for somebody that is listening to us. Another use is to predict what we think will happen or we guess that it would happen. Example here, it will be hard to pass the exam. We're just predicting here. We're guessing that it's going to be hard. Notice that we choose or we use will and be after it Be is a base form. It's not been or being or anything else. So you would also notice that we have negative. What's the meaning of negative? The negation that we always talk about is using not. So where to put this not? It's always putting it after will. So the examples that we give, like for example, John will come tomorrow, we can negate it simply by saying John will not come tomorrow. The example that we gave here, I will not ask him, simply by putting not after will. This type of future tenses, we use it less commonly than the other, less than will future. This one is future continuous. And I'm sure that you remember when we said whenever we mention continuous, it means ing. So the formula for this one will be will plus be plus the verb. The verb should be in ing, as we mentioned, continuous. So why do we use this? We said we use it less commonly than the other. Then why do we use it from the beginning? Well, we use this to say that something will be in progress in the future. Something will be in progress in the future. Example, I will be working on my project today's evening. You see, I'm talking about today, something that will be happening, will be continuous at this point. Today's evening, I will be working. You see, the same formula that we said. We cannot say, I will be work. No, you should always say, I will be working. And the negative for this one is going to be simple, as we said. I will not be working on my project today's evening. So we put not after will. The same negative that we talked about with will future. The last thing that I need to remind you about is the contraction of will not. When we say it quickly, when we abbreviate it, it will be won't. You should always pay attention to that. That was all for today's lesson. Thanks a lot again for watching and for listening carefully. It takes a lot of effort and I really appreciate it. And finally, you would have only 2 exercises to solve. I really hope that we can trust each other and solve these exercises. The 2 exercises that you have here are on page 70 and page 73. The one on page 70 is exercise number 2, and the one on page 73 is exercise number 4. It's really important for you to do that, and I will trust and hope that you would do that. Thanks again for watching, and see you next lesson.